Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Tim's News Explosion on this Monday the 5th of May 2025, the first TNE under the new Australian order, as I'm calling it. It's also the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe in World War II in 1945. We are back live on the Wilms Front YouTube channel, the Wilms Front Rumble channel, and my Wilms Front X account. Hello to everyone in the live chat. It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where a majority of Australians voted to become just like us. The Victorianisation of Australia is about to commence. The Alboslide or anal slide, because Anthony Albanese's name can be shortened to ANAL, whatever you want to call it. It was apparent on election night that Labor had won bigly. Thank you to everyone who watched the Unshackled's election night live stream. Thank you to Stephen Berry, who, like myself, did the whole night. Thank you to Damien Ferry, our senior editor of the Unshackled, for calling in. Thank you to John Martin for Young Conservatives for Christ. Thank you to Richard Wollstonecroft, host of the report from Tiger Mountain, director of the Melbourne Underground Film Festival, and beloved member of Sam Newman's You Cannot Be Serious podcast, for your contribution to Hayes Media Group, and to Benny of Australia Talk, and thank you to the Dusty Bogan and Maddie Stagg for stopping by. The Flano Philosopher says, "Hi Tim, I was so drunk the other night. At least I have had an excuse for having watched the bloodbath in real time." Well, Queensland Labor today was celebrating on the streets of Brisbane. It was your May Day parade, Labor Day public holiday. Last night, of course, was the Q clash between the Lions and the Suns. The Lions won, so at least I had a good end to the weekend. And now, Tim's News Explosion, it's not going to go for the full 7-hour stream that election night turned into. We went from 6 p.m. when the polls closed here on the East Coast, and then we went right until the next day until 1 a.m. My body clock has been all messed up, and obviously with the adrenaline of election night constantly hitting refresh on the election results, which we now know that all the polls were wrong. They predicted that Labor would just get back into majority government, but they did not predict that Labor would have its biggest victory since the end of the Second World War, and the coalition, the Liberals, having their worst result in their history, with opposition leader Peter Dutton losing his own seat of Dixon in North Brisbane. There'll still be a substantial number of crossbenchers, independents and minor parties to make up the 150 seats of the House of Representatives. So let's have a look at how the seats stand. So this is, we were following it on election night. The ABCs, if I can get it up here, the ABCs, Anthony Green's feeding the data into the ABC computers. It's his final election as the ABC's chief election analyst. Casey Briggs will be taking over. So as things stands at the moment, as of this time, so 78.6% of the vote has been counted. So currently, the Labor Party is projected to, they've won at least 85 seats, so way more than the 76 they needed to win a majority. They were sitting on 78 in the end of the previous parliament. The Liberal National Coalition on 39. That's all that it's been projected to win so far. The Greens, 0 seats so far. That is absolutely excellent news. And then we've got the others, 10. Now, let's first have a look at the seats that changed hands. Now, the ABC has, rather than a actual geographic map of Australia, has a map of Australia with all the electorates all the same size, because obviously if it was an actual size, there'd be a lot of blue Liberal and dark green National. So the seats that have changed hands. So the Labor Party, they won bigly in Brisbane. So won the seat of Griffith, back from the Greens, Kevin Rudd's old seat, and the seat of Brisbane, back from the Greens. They also won the seat of Ford in Brisbane, Bonner, and of course, their biggest scalp of the evening, Peter Dutton's seat of Dickson, a marginal seat which he'd held for 24 years, 8 terms, and the seat of Petrie, which is in inner north Brisbane. The Flano philosopher, feel free if you want to jump in the chat to give us some extra information about the demographics of these Brisbane seats. They also, the Labor Party won a seat outside of Brisbane, the far north Queensland seat of Leichhardt, which the popular local member Warren Etch retired, and so Labor Matt Smith won that convincingly. Now, also other gains, amazingly, here in Victoria. So Deakin, Michael Sukkar, the shadow housing NDIS minister, has lost to Labor's Matt Gregg. Then, although it's not listed here because it was through a redistribution, the seat of Menzies was notionally Labor, but the sitting Liberal MP Keith Wallahan has lost the seat of Menzies. It's the seat with the biggest Chinese Australian population in Australia. He lost that. He was considered a rising star of the Liberal Party, so he actually learnt Mandarin for absolutely nothing in the end. Fleno philosopher says, I did letterboxing in Dickson. Every street had at least half a dozen Ali France signs. She would have had a blank check from Kate Flanders, the ALP state secretary. This was Ali France's, her third attempt to win the seat of Dickson, running in 2019, 2022. She managed to get the benefit of a lot of preferences from one of the Teal independents. We can go to the primary vote here. So Peter Dutton still suffered a 7.5% swing primary. Ali France got a 2.5% primary swing, but the independent Ali Smith, 12.8%, and of course would have preferenced Ali France before Peter Dutton. Flano philosopher says, we are witnessing the balkanisation of Australian voting blocks. The socialist vote has doubled in Victoria, but the Greens copped a fisting up north here. Well, they did in their south region as well. Labor had a clean sweep of Tasmania. The left Liberal member for Bass, Bridget Archer, easily defeated, and the ALP won Braddon. There was a retiring Liberal member there. Also, some shocks in Sydney. Craig Kelly's old seat of Hughes won by Labor's David Moncrief. That's around Sutherland. So the Liberal moderate Jenny Ware loses after one term. Another shock, the seat of Banks. Labour's Ji Zoon defeated the shadow Foreign Minister David Coleman. So half their front bench was wiped out, the Liberal Party. Then there was the seat of Sturt, Christopher Pyne's old seat for 25 years. And his successor, James Stephens, a shadow minister, also lost his seat to Labour's Claire Clutterham. Then there was another gain for the WA Liberal Party. Labour's Tom French, who was able to capitalise on the Liberal Party pre-selection mess, where the incumbent Liberal MP Ian Goodenough lost pre-selection to the previous member for the seat of Stirling, which was abolished in 2019. Ian Goodenough ran as an independent, so Tom French was able to come up on the middle despite only getting 1% of the primary vote. There was a 10% swing away from Vince Conley, 9.9% went to Ian Goodenough. That independent Nathan Barton would have obviously helped Labor gain that seat. So as it currently stands, the WA Liberal Party holds no metropolitan seats in Perth, and it looked on election night that the Liberal Party would hold none in metropolitan Melbourne. So almost a whole sea of red, because a Labor Party candidate for the seat of Melbourne, Sarah Whitty, has extended her lead against Adam Bant. He suffered a swing against him on the primary, is 3.7%. Sarah Whitty got a 5.8% swing. And Anthony Koutafidis, the ex-Carlton premiership player, got 3.2%. Adam Bant was listed as one of Australia's most least liked / hated politicians. The new seat of Bullwinkle in Perth Southwest. It's a virtual dead heat on two-party preferred between Labor and Liberal. But the beauty of our preferential voting system is this could change depending on who ends up in the final two. So the Nationals' Mia Davies, who was the state Nationals leader, even though she's only on 16.4%, she could get preferences from One Nation and leapfrog the Liberals' Matt Moran, and then defeat Labor's Trish Cook. So Stephen Bates, the former Greens member for Brisbane, he came third, but got enough preferences, I think, from Legalised Cannabis and Animal Justice Party to leapfrog into second place before the final two were confirmed. The seat of Menzies, it's tightened up a bit. Gabrielle Ng is still favoured to win. The seat of Flinders down on the Mornington Peninsula. If my parents live in that electorate, and they were just, their social media feed was spammed by the Teal independent Ben Smith. His billboards were up everywhere. His grey army of boomer volunteers everywhere. But Zoe McKenzie, the first-term Liberal MP, looks like she'll hold on. In the seat of Bean in Canberra, there's... I think they're all inspired by the popularity of the independent senator, David Pocock. So Labor Party, it's basically a two-party preferred, they are at 72%. They are being challenged by even more left-leaning independents. Now, in regional Victoria, the big... you would say deal is that the Nationals could win the seat of Bendigo, formerly a safe Labor seat, off the incumbent Labor MP Lisa Chesters. and national parties put a lot of resources into that. Andrew Leithen is the National Party candidate. I know that the Bendigo faithful up there are rooting for him. I think that this could be one of the few coalition gains in Victoria. And now the seat of Corwell, one of Victoria's most diverse electorates. The reason why that's in doubt is because there's a whole bunch of these independents. So there's a Samin Moslin, Joseph Yuana. There is Ravi Rugapathy. There is Morgan Peach. So although the Labor Party is in first position, this again could be another preferential, depending on who finishes second. The Labor Party could be in trouble if all the independents preference each other. The seat of Fremantle is Labor's Josh Wilson, challenged by the far-left independent Kate Hullett, who nearly won the seat at the state election just passed. Monash, again, the reason why that's in doubt is because the Teal independent Deb Leonard could get into second place at the distribution of preferences. The incumbent member, Liberal turned independent Russell Broadbent, is not going to win the seat. So Deb Leonard on 70.5%, Russell Broadbent 10.1%, Labor Party 20.4%, and the Liberals 32.2%. Seat of Ryan, the Greens are ahead, Elizabeth Watson-Brown, but the Labor Party could still finish second. Bradfield, the Teal independent candidate, Nicolette Bolel, is only holding on against the new Liberal candidate, Giselle Capserian. That looks like it's Liberals a favourite to win it now. In this, now, the seat of Franklin in southern Tasmania. So there's no Liberal Liberal MPs in Tasmania now in the House, but there's still Andrew Wilkie and Denison. So this anti-salmon farming independent Peter George is in second place, but the Liberals have preference against him. Longman, which was held by the Liberal Party's Terry Young, he's back in the lead. That's just north of Peter Dutton's former seat now of Dixon. In the seat of Wills in Inner Melbourne, Peter Khalil, Labor, looks like holding on against Samantha Ratnam, the Greens, and Goldstein. We haven't had a update since yesterday. Zoe Daniel is ahead by 95 votes. She claimed victory on Saturday night, but Tim Wilson could be returning to Parliament in this once blue ribbon seat. And was Kooyong listed here in the, here we go here. So Kooyong has also narrowed here. So Monique Ryan only leads by 292 votes. So the Liberals are doing well on the postal votes. Now, and so is Labor in Melbourne. But because Melbourne's a city seat, there's a lot of absentee votes, and they tend to favour left-wing parties as well. So Monique Ryan, the Karen of Australian politics, could very still well lose. And Tim Wilson is in the box seat. Now, of course, what I think a lot of us will be most interested in is the Senate, which will take probably a month to know what the final result is. So remember, there are 76 seats in the Senate, 40 are up for election, each election for a 6-year term. They alternate every 3 years. So there's 12 senators in each state, but the territory senators, there's only 2 of them up for election each year. And now let's first check out, well, the Australian Capital Territory. David Pocock actually romped it in, nearly 40% of the vote, beating the Labour Party on the primary vote, but the Finance Minister, Katie Gallagher, will be re-elected. In New South Wales, now the collapse of the Liberal vote, I should just say, I'll go back to the House of Reps party total after this. All the polls, they just showed what is the primary votes in the lower house. In the Senate, the major party vote is even lower, but the Liberals and Nationals, 27.7% in the New South Wales Senate. One Nation, 5.9%. Legalised cannabis, 3.7%. Trumpet of Patriots, a complete bust. And Craig Kelly won't be elected to the Senate as a under the Libertarian Heart People First banner. Lyle Shelton will not be either. But the One Nation candidate, which is Warwick Stacey, is in with a chance, as is Warren Pickering for One Nation in Victoria. But the Labor Party could pick up a third Senate seat in New South Wales and Victoria. So Michelle Annaja-Rajah, who was the member for Higgins, the seat got abolished, the COVID crazy doctor who wanted to mask 2-year-olds, she could be returning to the Senate. One Nation, 4.4%. In Victoria, legalised cannabis, Fiona Patten, the candidate, 4.1%. She could be a outside chance to win a seat in the Senate. So Dan Andrews' stooge, who voted for his extensions of the COVID lockdown state of emergency. Now, Queensland, that is the silver lining. There was a further, there was the same collapse in the LNP vote, 27.7%. In Victoria, it was 29.2%. So in New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland, the LNP they'll get 2 in New South Wales and Victoria, but in Queensland, they're not guaranteed to get 2. Now, Malcolm Roberts is ahead. One Nation got 7%, but surprise, Jared Rennick, on a joint ticket with Katter's Australian Party, Bob Katter easily re-elected in North Queensland, almost 5%. So we could actually get the dream that the LNP Susan McDonald, who's pretty just a sort of standard coalition senator. It'd be great if she loses and we get Malcolm Roberts and Jared Rennick, and so it will be complete backfire by voting against him in the pre-selection. Paleo-conservative Australians asked, who did you vote for, Tim? I jumped on the One Nation bandwagon. Who did you vote for? Clive Palmer spent $100 million for nothing. He should have given it to the NSN. Well, I know that the National Socialist Network, they actually came out in support of Trumpet of Patriots and said, well, they didn't say it, but one of their supporters said to me their secret Nazbol. Well, how does all of their annoying text messages authorized by H. Fong, that's not a very Anglo-Celtic name. Paleo-conservative Australian says, can you bring up that for all the sucking up to Jews and Indians, the LNP both groups didn't bother to vote for them at all or even attend Dutton's speech? Yes, exactly. The literal changing face of Australia cooked the LNP, and only chasing the Jewish vote, 4 out of 150 seats. I mean, they might win Goldstein and Kooyong, so 2 out of 4, but they didn't win Macnamara or their Melbourne seats or Wentworth in Sydney. And this was another error that the Liberals made, is because Sky News, the Australian News Corp, were obsessed with the Israel, Zionism, and also were pumping up what turned out to be the hoax, a anti-Semitism, a vandalism attack crisis. They thought that they'd spend a lot of political capital on that. Hardly anyone watches Sky News Australia. Hardly anyone reads The Australian. They're both behind paywalls. And of course, I'll get to shortly that, and I predicted this, all the Liberals' crap DEI candidates lost badly. Now, Western Australia, One Nation is in with a chance, 5.8%. So is legalised cannabis, 4.7%. The Labor Party could get a third senator there. Deep Singh, is that sort of the boss Singh? Let's hope that if, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, if, I don't know a lot of Indian first names, whether Deep is a male or a female. But let's hope that they've been vetted more than Fatima Payman was, who we're stuck with for another 3 years, as we are with Lydia Thorpe in Victoria. Now, in South Australia, One Nation is also in with a chance, 5.2%, legalised cannabis 3%. Now, there'll be at least 2 to the Labor and Liberal, and the Greens, even though they were decimated in the House of Representatives, they'll all be re-elected in the Senate. I'd like to see Sarah Hanson-Young be the Greens leader. I am nostalgic for the day when she was the most craziest triggered Greens. But when I see her on Sky News, she has a debate, I think, with one of the Nationals MPs on a Thursday morning, a political panel. She sounds so reasonable these days. She's married to Ben Oquist, who used to work at the Australia Institute. He's got some firm now with Scott Morrison's former inner circle advisors, David Gazzard. Now, over in Tasmania, the Liberals, they're only guaranteed of 1 senator, Claire Chandler, Labor 2, and the final 3, final 2, there's 3 candidates there. Jackie Lambie's taken a hit, she's on 7%. Pauline Hanson is One Nation, her daughter Lee Hanson is running 5.3%. So the Liberals only got 1.7% of a quota. Now, the reason why One Nation, they could still win a senator in every state, they always do well on preferences from all of the minor parties. And in the Northern Territory, it would be 1 each for Melindindra McCarthy and the CLP. Now, going back to Victoria, as you know, I interviewed Warren Pickering, who's in with a chance. He is the type of guy, what you see is what you get. He would definitely be loyal to One Nation. He stood as lead Senate candidate in 2022. He said Pauline's a reasonable woman, and he would basically add to bolster to their numbers. So obviously Malcolm Roberts has been with Pauline Hanson since he was elected to the Senate in 2016. And obviously he has been their main voice against globalism. So there's never been a clash of egos between those two. So Warren Pickering, I definitely think that, yeah, he would be definite team player for One Nation. A terrible result for the Victorian Socialist, Jordan Van der Berg, whatever his real name is, 1.8%. 100%. Who would have thought that advocating for squatting, stealing people's property would be such a vote loser? Bernie Finn has conceded defeat for Family First, who I also interviewed 1.9% of the primary vote. And so has the Libertarian Party, who did very badly across the nation, 0.7% in Victoria. So not surprisingly, Jordan Diplock has conceded. So what does this result say about Australia? Well, starting on the Senate there is no appetite in Australia for big government social conservatism, nor for pure libertarianism. Those who are patriots, who, like, they might not be active in politics, but they're proud of their country, will still go to One Nation, and the party will still going until either Pauline Hanson retires or she dies. So it was a mixed bag for the freedom right. And going back to the party, the House of Representatives, the party totals, which the good thing about our preferential voting system, and I know that I saw Kobe Thatcher saying we should get rid of it. Well, the thing about preferential voting is that it means that you can vote for a freedom minor party, yet when it comes to the two majors, you can still pick the least shit option. Flano Philosopher said, just wrote my first long-form political commentary articles on the minor right parties. Well, I'd love to publish it on the unshackled.net. You have my contact details, so I'd love to have a read of it and consider publishing it on the unshackled.net. So please let me know. And now the Labor Party, they'd been dealing with, over the past decade, a constant decline in their primary vote, but they actually had a swing to them, 34.8%. That's a 2.2% swing. The coalition, which is not used to its primary vote going down so badly, Labor actually beat the coalition on the primary vote 32.1%. That's a swing of 3.6% away. There was a swing of 2.8% to the others, minor parties and independents. The Greens had a swing against them of 0.4%. So the others, 13.2%, Greens 11.8%, a swing to One Nation of 1.3%, 6.2% nationwide. Trumpet of Patriots, 1.9%, which the ABC is counting as a swing against the United Australia Party, which was deregistered, minus 2.3%. So Clive Palmer, in my opinion, thankfully, has said that he is pretty much done with politics now. He's 71 and wants to use his millions and billions now to help the homeless and the hungry, donating money to food bank. And I hope he continues with the freedom conferences, because they were, when I only went to the Tucker Carlson one, but it was such a great community, freedom community get together. Everyone is just so friendly. I absolutely just loved the environment. And now for some of those who are spreading conspiracy theories about the Australian Electoral Commission, I have to give them credit. The count was pretty good on election night. We got both the votes on the day in the booths and the pre-poll. They were very good at counting those pre-polls very quickly. The booths were I only obviously voted at my own polling booth, but the booth workers were properly trained, proper instructions on how to vote in the House and the Senate. Obviously, there were a few Karen booth supervisors who threw their weight around, especially if there was some triggered lefty who didn't like those who were campaigning mainly for Family First or the other Social Conservatives Party, talking about late-term abortion. But the thing that the major violence at the polling booth was the attack on a Trumpet of Patriots volunteer by a triggered cyclist. Of course he was a cyclist. They're just menaces at the best of time when they're on the road. So this was absolute. This was published by Rukshan when it first happened, and so I couldn't believe that Victoria Police didn't charge him. And of course, this is a pattern where just left-wing violence is they hardly make any arrests, and the process repeats itself. We're getting a new Victoria Police Commissioner announced tomorrow. Let's hope that, I mean, I'm probably dreaming that, or let's hope that there's less political policing, because the fact that in Victoria you can be prosecuted for hurty words, actual violent assault. Bruce said, yeah, apparently the police said they couldn't do anything because he's retarded, and then he came back and started trying to fight with people. That's no excuse for assault. The mental health card. What about the mental health impacts of the people who are assaulted?
Hey, calm it down. Hey.
Oi! Oi! Cut it out! Cut it out!
Yeah, we were built on multiculturalism. Yeah, these ads aren't what Australia's about.
Neither what you're doing.
I can fucking sue you.
Go on. Calm down.
And I will sue you.
Go ahead.
Because I've got all these witnesses.
I've got you on camera of what you did. You struck first.
Can someone follow this guy? The police.
Can we have some police here, please?
Don't worry about the cops. I'm fine. Don't argue that.
You just abused me verbally. And
Nah, we got you on camera, mate.
You called me a retard. I have a
You called everyone a racist, mate.
It's true. You're racist. Listen
Right.
to your own ads.
Tell that to the cops,
Listen
mate.
to your own ads on TV.
Tell that to
I
the
keep
cops.
wearing. Who's going to pay for this? Let make China pay for it. Who's going to this? Yeah, we were built on multiculturalism. Yeah, these ads aren't what Australia's about. This is not uniting Australia. This is dividing Australia. This party is a scam. You want to follow me? What's that? That's fine, stronger than you, bro. 1v1? You want a 1v1, me brother?
Hey, calm it down. Hey.
Oi! Cut it out!
Was he the writer of Anthony Albanese's victory speech? And you could tell on election night that Dan Andrews was still in his ear, because he did the Dan Andrews hands up in the air like Dan Andrews used to do. And he talked about that Australia's made up of the longest continuous culture, and whether you've been here generations or recently, then we're all part of the same nation. We don't divide people, even though that's basically what the Labor Party's strategy was, divide and conquer. So there was a whole heap of gaslighting by Albanese in his speech, and he talked about doing things the Australian way. So we're not like the US. Bruce says he came back and started punching cars and someone held him as a headlock. He should be in prison for all of that. Like, this is, again, it's a nationwide problem that mental health or poor upbringing or the fact that they're an immigrant is why particularly magistrates just give them not even a slap on the wrist, but just you give them, yeah, just go for some counselling and some corrections order. So Anthony Albanese, and what I'm about to say here, it's analysis. It's not what I agree with, but he is right when we are not like the United States. I mean, the United States is still a very Christian nation. We are becoming less Christian. There's a whole lot of there's lots of religious people in Australia, but a lot of them are from other religions as well. And also the reason Albanese won is because he told the Australian people what they wanted to hear, offered them policies, what they expect from government. That's why he was flashing his Medicare card, because Australians expect free healthcare. So this result also cements Australia as an egalitarian nation. And we're also certainly not like the UK as well. And we'll certainly get to because obviously Donald Trump has been blamed for the Liberals' campaign loss, but he didn't make them run the worst campaign in modern history that any of us can remember. And how do you explain in the UK Reform doing so well? Now, the Labor campaign machine, of its course, is formidable. They can call on all of the union members to hand out for them. And Paul Erickson, the National Secretary for the Labor Party, is seen as a genius. I mean, their ads were effective, both on conventional television and also on social media. And Albanese is now going to go down, like who would have thought this, as a Labor legend. This is as I said before, the biggest winning margin by a Labor Prime Minister since the Second World War. Bigger than Hawke's in 1983, bigger than Wilms in 1972, bigger than the Rudd slide of 2007, and even Ben Chifley in 1946. 50 years into the future, the Labor true believers will still immortalise Albo. And of course, it wasn't just the union members that they could rely on. It was also the new Australians. So this was Tony Burke's volunteers in Watson, who easily fended off the Muslim Voices, the Votes Matter candidate. There's his Brown Army there. And this map was shared on social media. Of course, the mass migration from India is going to continue. So these are the seats in Melbourne and Sydney. So the really brown seats have more than 15% of Indian ancestry. I don't know why the person who put this map together decided that to have electorates that had the most Indian as them as brown. But Holt in Melbourne's southeast, brown, safe Labor. Laylaw in Melbourne's west, brown, safe Labor. Then Parramatta in Western Sydney, brown. Greenway, brown, safe Labor as well. Remember, in Greenway, the Liberals selected Vatten Rourke, the lady who resigned the directorship of her businesses before it was audited, and then her campaign truck crashed into a pre-polling centre there. So Cos Samares, the ex-deputy campaign director of Labor in Victoria, said demographics are destiny. And Anthony Albanese, the day after the election, because he had a flawless campaign in terms of his his messaging. He had a shocker campaign. I mean, sure, most of what he was saying was lying. And of course, the Liberals, they complained about Labor lies, yet they made a futile effort to refute them. So, of course, Labor are going to lie. You weren't prepared. So the only stumble that Anthony Albanese had was off the stage. And so he's entering his Biden phase now. The next day was having some ice cream. So this was the front of the News Corp paper's victory suite as PM scoops up seats. And I very much enjoyed Danger Dan Andrews' video voiceover of Albanese's commitments now that he's won the election.
Oh, this is a great day for Australia. My single mum in the Housing Commission once said to me, never underestimate the stupidity of stupid people. And guess what? She was right. Australians have voted for the Voice 2.0. And not to forget, welcome to countries everywhere you go. And I'm sure that will bring the country together. And for those young Australians who have to go to work every day to give me my tax dollars for my holidays, well, you can just forget about looking for a new home because there won't be any. That's because I'm going to let in another 2 million goat rooters and Chinese communists and maybe a few Indians, because we don't have enough of them over the next few years to make it virtually impossible for any young Australians to get ahead. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to warn all the small businesses. Well, guess what? Energy prices are going to continue to increase. So forget ordering the food for your Christmas party this year, because you'll be broke and paying out redundancies. But don't worry, just rest assured that all the government employees in Canberra that just sit around in their pyjamas all day watching Netflix, well, I'm going to give them all another pay rise. Won't that be great for the economy? So, as you can see, I'm living proof of failing upwards. If you tell enough lies and hand out enough taxpayers' money, you can achieve anything.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
That's the way it is.
Peter Jackson!
DML says, looking forward to 3+ years of Danger Dan's masterpieces. Yes, he introduced the phrase, my freeloading rent-a-girlfriend. Well, soon to be his freeloading rent-a-wife, because they'll be getting married. And I'm not sure if they're going to be moving into their Copacabana mansion, or because Albanese, when that purchase was announced, it looked like he was looking at retirement, but now he is so blown away by his own success that he's now already talking about running for a third term. And I should also mention that the Labor Party also solidified the Chinese Australian vote, because anytime the Liberals talked about CCP influence, because there was some Monique Ryan volunteers and some of the Housing Minister's Claire O'Neill's volunteers had CCP links. What Labor did is, when the Liberals criticised those that there was CCP infiltration, Labor just flooded Chinese Australian social media to say, yes, the Liberal Party, they're racist against you, Chinese, that you can't be trusted to live in Australia. And now, Jungle Potatoes had a good comment. I thought you meant new Australians as in young people because they overwhelmingly preference Labor. Now, again, this is why Australia bucked the trend of the US and the UK, younger voters, younger men in particular, going right wing. This did not happen with Gen Z and millennials because lots of them aren't having families because of, well, the culture, and also because it's just so unaffordable to have a family home and all of the expenses that raising children have. So they're not changing rightward like particularly the baby boomers did. And all of Australia's problems, they still remain. We still have declining living standards, worse than the OECD, where the energy crisis is going to get worse because Liberal and Nationals probably kill nuclear. Mass migration will continue, particularly from India, and this migration agent of Indian ethnicity is very excited, and the advertising has started again.
Guess what? The Labour Party is back in power, which means the current Prime Minister is holding his position. He's not going anywhere, and it's a big news for all international students, which means more chances, more work rights, better support are on the way. So if you are planning to stay or to study in Australia, this is your moment, okay? Just tighten your seatbelts and consider Australia for your future. Congratulations.
I can't get over his monobrow. That is, get them plucked, buddy. And now, of course, Labor will miss their migration targets, and we shall see if their cuts to international student numbers are serious. There'll certainly be less free speech, more restrictions on free speech coming as well. Now, housing, the only way that only type of housing that will become affordable, because there's both state and federal Labor, they constantly talk about we've got to build more houses. What they mean is not the block of land, a house 3 or 4 bedrooms with a backyard and a front yard. What they mean is, well, townhouses are okay because you still get a backyard, but what they, and same with units as well, but what they are talking about is apartments, particularly over public transport hubs, so 15-minute cities, the dog boxes, and you can get a really cheap dog box apartment in Box Hill, really cheap. So this is what they are going to, with the changing face of Australia, they're going to want to change what a home looks like in Australia. So this is a real ad by a real estate agent in Box Hill in Melbourne, heavily Chinese suburb and the seat of Menzies, which Keith Wallahan for the Liberals lost. Very built up. That's where Jacinta Allen's building the suburban rail loop too. So this is real affordable home in Box Hill.
You guys may assume we're in a city. Believe it or not, we are in a suburb of Box Hill. It has changed a lot in the last 30 years. What's the address to this one?
3071 Wellington Road.
Come check out this apartment. And we are in. This is Box Hill apartment. So, toilet, kitchenette, study, bedroom, balcony. So we're going to flick over this way to see it. This is it. Bedroom. I'll do so you can probably see better. The bedroom, the kitchen, the toilet, and the study. Now let's check out some of the perks, like the tram and the bus. Around the corner, massive parklands and hospitals, both Box Hill and Epworth. Now the train station is just here, but the real kicker here is Box Hill Central. It's like you're travelling overseas, but you're still in Melbourne. Let's check it out. You are in Melbourne, but you're literally not in Melbourne. Love it. You also have Whitehorse Tapes down the road, and all the groceries and fruit and everything like that in Box Hill, it is super cheap. And that's what 145,000 gets you in Box Hill.
Remember, this is not a satire piece. This is a serious ad for an apartment for sale in Box Hill. And the lesson that the Liberal Party will likely take out of this is that we need to double down on catering, pandering to this new Australia. It is the worst result in the Liberal Party's history since it was founded by Sir Robert Menzies in 1994. The Liberal campaign was an absolute bloody disaster. They were in the lead at the beginning of the year, yet when it came to the election, they hardly had any economic policy. They went to the election opposing Labor's minuscule tax cuts. The ending work from home for public servants, essentially saying that they're against working from home, that is seen as one of the worst policy blunders, because they hadn't even focus group polled that there. And again, listening too much of Sky News and The Australian when they talk about lazy public servants who won't go back into the office. The ads were bad. They're trying to have Peter Dutton as the softer side, introducing himself. Let's get Australia back on track. Their attack ads, they hardly mentioned attacked Labor on its weaknesses, such as energy. They were half-hearted with wanting to reduce migration, just linking it with housing affordability. Their social media ads, especially the Muppet ones, I mean, Andrew Hirst, the Liberal Party director, the campaign HQ is blaming Peter Dutton and his inner circle, saying it was their fault the campaign was so bad. And the Liberal Party, its party infrastructure is falling apart. All of the mainstream media, they published numerous articles on the Exclusive Brethren Christian sect volunteering for the Liberal Party, even though they don't vote on religious grounds, which is a contradiction. Now, I saw George Christensen and other ex-Liberals say that Peter Dutton was deliberately sabotaged by the wet lefty Liberals because they don't want a Dutton, a Conservative, to lead the party into government, even though Peter Dutton didn't really run on a Conservative agenda. And the running a bit on cultural issues, such as the Welcome to Country, which was put on the national agenda by the National Socialist Network, viewing the Welcome to Country on Anzac Day at the Shrine of Remembrance. And the fact that Penny Wong said in a podcast that The Voice would make a comeback, and we'd look back in 10 years and say, what was that all about? What's the big deal? Saying that Labor would bring back The Voice in the final week had no impact at all. I've come to the conclusion that, it had been forming during this campaign that Australians are very passive on cultural issues. I mean, the TERFs, they have failed to make an impact on the gender agenda. I mean, so the status quo will remain in Australia of gender self-ID, and also in Queensland has that review, but of the federal government's review into puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones into minors will just conclude more of the same. And now, in my opinion, the beginning of the end for the Liberal Party began with the party room knifing Tony Abbott in 2015 and installing Malcolm Turnbull. Don't forget that Tony Abbott was a Conservative like Dutton, was considered unelectable. Dutton was aiming for the same strategy as Tony Abbott. Is just he said, well, Peter Dutton said when he got the opposition leader's job, they will be a bad government. Just tear them down and nail them day and day. His success prosecuting the no case on the voice referendum, that dealt a significant blow to Albanese, but didn't mortally wound him. And also the Labor's botching, releasing without any initial conditions on their visas, those illegal criminals who are released by the NZYQ High Court decision, that really, well, the fact that they reoffended, that really caused a lot of anxiety amongst the community about was the federal government serious in keeping them safe. There were some illegal boats that did arrive to Australia, but they were put to Nauru. What does the Liberal Party do? Well, they should have. I don't know. And do I really care? That's the other thing. I mean, they could have had a red hot go on cultural issues and being more bold, have more bold policies like nuclear and put them front and center. You're up against a first term government. You've got to be bold. I mean, the fact that Albanese was able to flip the script and basically say, look, and Jim Chalmers saying, look, we've turned the corner. And so now the interest rates are going to come down, inflation is down, we're going to build Australia's future. And the majority of Australian voters thought that Peter Dutton was going to be shake things up too much. They believed, Anthony Albanese, that things were now going to get better. Another hilarious satire I saw on social media was from Daniel Luco, who is, I think he's part of the Australian Jewish Association. He was mass reported and suspended from X, but got reinstated. He's still very funny. And he said this was the leaked audio from Liberal HQ on election night.
You're fucking paranoid, you are fucking you bloody bastard bitch. Fuck you bloody fuck you bloody fucking mother bloody fuck bitch. Bloody fuck you fucking bloody bastard. Benchwood bloody. You blunder.
No, but why?
Bloody no.
Why?
Bloody fucking
accident. Then what you wanna do?
Why you fuck me? I fuck you bloody bastard.
And now there have been, I've noticed some on some part of the non-leftist social media of Australia blaming the freedom parties for splitting the vote, even though we have preferential voting. I'll tell you who can definitely be criticised is Australians like Marg, who decided not to vote, who wrote on her ballot paper, Jesus is the only solution. I mean, that's essentially an extra vote for Labor, the Greens, and Teals. So Ricardo Bossi's boycott the ballot, that just increases the vote share of the left. Now, can the Liberal Party be made great again? That is what Alex Antic said on outsiders on Saturday, but John Ruddick of the Libertarian MLC in New South Wales now wrote the book on Make the Liberal Party Great Again. He concluded that it couldn't be done. So I definitely think, and plus the Liberal Party, the party apparatchiks, they make it so that it's impossible for lots of people to join to change it from within. You're just blocked. And so this is why I couldn't believe that Monica Schmidt was advocating this as well. She said that this is going to be a new strategy, yet you're broadcasting it on Avi Yemeni's election night live stream. So you're basically alerting the Liberal Party machine that this is what you're going to do, and they'll likely formulate a plan to thwart Monica and the people she wants to recruit to the Liberal Party.
I think we need to change the game. We need to be more strategic. And I have a new campaign coming out on Monday, and I think that we need to join the team to play the game. And if you guys know what I mean, you know what I mean. But we've tried. I mean, we should join the major parties. That's exactly what I mean. Because the thing is, I hate that concept. The concept absolutely makes me feel sick to my stomach. But if you can let go of that feeling and understand that it is strategic, and also look back at the last 6 years and think, hey, whatever we've been trying hasn't really been working, and the definition of insanity is to do the same thing and expect different results. So we haven't tried joining the major parties Australia-wide before. We may as well try it. It's not very difficult. And guess who did it in South Australia? Alex Antic completely runs the Liberal Party in South Australia because he did exactly this. He capitalised on.
Well, unfortunately, the South Australian Liberal Party is not a viable opposition at the state and federal level. The 2026 state election there, it's going to be a bloodbath as well. Peter Malinowskis, most popular premier in Australia, will romp it in. I mean, their Mess Vincent Tarzea has an incredibly low approval rating. The previous leader, of course, David Spears, pled guilty to drug supply charges. And Monica says it hasn't been tried. It has been tried, and it's been thwarted by the Liberal Party machine. And this is where we get to Victoria, where there are a few silver linings, which I went through. Both the Teals could be defeated, and the seat of Bendigo, which the National Party looks like it's poised to win. Who's the local state member in Bendigo? The Premier, Jacinta Allen. Now, she tried to spin the swing to the Labor Party, two-party preferred, as an endorsement of her government and projects like the Suburban Rail Loop. She did 3 posts about the Suburban Rail Loop today. She's also communicating to her colleagues, don't get rid of me, because she would have been under threat if things turned badly here in Victoria. But Labor, as I mentioned, Labor didn't just do well against the Liberals, but against the Greens. And like the Liberal Party being obsessed with Israel, the Greens were obsessed with Gaza and Palestine. And they literally said at rallies, this is how you should vote, base your vote this election.
I'm voting for Gaza this time. I'm changing my vote for Gaza this time. Let's change our votes for Gaza this time. Let's get out there and do it for every single Palestinian who's struggled for over 70 years, for every single Gazan child who's suffering right now. We hold them in our hearts.
So let's make this election a Palestine election. Are you ready to do that?
A lesson for both the Liberal Party and the Greens. Australian voters are focused on Australian issues. They're not focused on a ethnic conflict halfway across the world that has been going on for the past 80 years. So will they take those lessons? And even though Jacinta Allen, she is still very unpopular at a state level, crime is still a significant issue. That is what the Liberal Party of Victoria should campaign on. But they've been trumped by New South Wales at being the worst Liberal Party division, but never underestimate their effort at self-destruction and failure, like at this federal election, going backwards. Can you believe it or not? There is pressure on Moira Deeming to waive her pursuit of legal expenses from John Pesciuto, so he's not declared bankrupt and has to resign his seat of Hawthorn in Parliament, because then the Liberals are worried that they would lose that seat to a Teal candidate. And there's also a lot of bitterness amongst the moderate left faction of the Liberal Party, who are not happy that not just Pesciuto, but that Jess Wilson and also Brad Rosewell got dumped from the economic portfolios. So never underestimate that they could mess this up in 2026. And of course, at the federal level, some are saying that they could be in opposition for at least 2 terms. Now, of course, things could change very much in the 3 years. Things could get a whole lot worse. In Australia, they're still not too bad. That is why Anthony Albanese got re-elected. But of course, the Liberal Party has no leader now, and the leader that not just those on the right they want, who even not in the Liberal Party want, Andrew Hastie, who got a swing to him in his seat of Canning in the outer suburbs of Perth, actually bucked the trend in Western Australia. He has announced he's not running for the leadership. So the front runner is Susan Ley, the deputy leader. She's in her 60s. She's been in Parliament for 24 years. So I think she just wants it because she is a career politician and would love to be leader. The front runner, though, is the Shadow Treasurer, Angus Taylor, who, of course, was the front man to the lack of economic and tax policy. He's Holly Hughes, the outgoing Liberal Senator for New South Wales, who blames Angus Taylor for losing her pre-selection, unloaded on him this morning. He's a Rhodes Scholar, so he's smart, but he's a political buffoon. So there was this gaffe that he made in Parliament back in 2022 when there was the deputy speaker is female. He kept calling her Mr. Speaker, even though she kept correcting him. So he's a bit gender confused, I guess. Then he fell for a published doctored travel expense documents from the City of Sydney, said that he downloaded it from the City of Sydney website, yet the metadata said, no, that's never been our document. And then, of course, one of his staffers forgot to switch one of the dummy accounts that he uses to praise Angus Taylor on social media. So it said, fantastic, great move, well done, Angus. Then there is Dan Tehan, the member for One On in Western Victoria, beat a Teal challenger, ex-ABC journalist, another one, Alex Dyson. Now, of course, NSN, they had some last-minute stunts that they engaged in the final week of the campaign. So first was the stunt in Caulfield first it was the letterboxing of the flyers. Can you all see this on the screen? It's not showing up on It's not showing up on my thing here for some reason. So I'll just describe this. So the first poster was giving the Jews everything they want. Our plan to give the Jews everything they want. So it's it's got the Liberal logo there, but it's instead of the Australian flag, the Israeli flag, and it says authorized by Joel Davis. Please let me know in the comments if you can see this. So our plan to give the Jews everything they want. Israel first. Australia doesn't need to defend itself. Abolish free speech. Criticizing Jews is another Holocaust. Jail anti-Semites. Making Jews feel safe is all that matters. Giving Jews free money. Jews are doing it tough and need our charity. So actually, Joel went with a couple of NSN members. Oh, there we go. There, it actually added it to the stage. There we go. There, they actually went to Caulfield and filmed them handing out the flyers. No, they letterboxed them in Caulfield and hand them out at the polling booth in Kooyong. I stand corrected. You should be able to see it now. I don't know what happened there. And so there was, of course, the David Southwick, the Jewish State Liberal member of Caulfield, fed into the NSN's strategy, expressing outrage, and so did Sky News's Jewish presenters, Caroline Marcus and Sherry Markson. But the NSN, they also had these flyers against, claiming to be from the Labor Party, saying flood Australia with Indians. Well, they had they had the Labor Party logo, but instead of the Southern Cross stars, they had a poop logo. So the detailed flyer said, higher house prices and rents, driving up demand to make sure you pay more. Vibrant multiculturalism. Not only do Indians smell great, they're also extremely polite. More Uber drivers being sexually assaulted by an Uber driver helps build character. That one didn't get as much attention, but this banner drop did on election day, which there's now calls for them to be charged. So they held up banners: no Asian voters should count, no Indian votes should count, no black votes should count, no Muslim votes should count, only Aussie votes should count. But this was criticised by lots who are on the dissident right on Australian social media. So Kit Kowalski, who was one of the TERFs, said, this is absolutely deranged. We don't have ethnic voting categories in Australia. Anyone who meets the requirements for citizenship or was born here gets a vote. And Billboard Chris in the New Canadian Order is also leading the charge against the ethno-nats there. So there's I'm not sure if they're National Socialist Network, but they dress like NSN. It says DEI is how nations die. And Billboard Chris says, this was in Toronto, not a chance is legit. It's 100% an op. Well, they always said that about NSN. Right-wingers don't dress like Antiva chanting. Shalor Hendricks did nothing wrong. Did Canada recruit Democrats operatives from down south? This week, Billboard Chris has been punching right a lot, even though he's failing at his own campaign to stop childhood gender mutilation. He's failed in his native Canada. So the Liberal Party of Canada, the left-wing party, Justin Trudeau's party, Mark Carney, he didn't win an outright majority, but they will retain government with the support of a depleted New Democratic Party, with their leader, Jamal Singh, losing his seat. Yes, and of course, Pierre Poilievre lost his seat, or they call them ridings there. And of course, Gavin McGuinness years back called Australia Hot Canada. We are pretty much going to be down the same path as Canada, with candidates such as these for a Liberal, Conservative and new Democratic Party. And Trump was a much bigger factor in, well, at least when it came to boomers deciding to vote for Trudeau's, now Mark Carney's Liberal Party, 60 and over. The most deciding factor was dealing with Donald Trump. Well, he did say that he wanted to make Canada the 51st state of America. I mean, this is what he posted on Canadian Election Day. Good luck to the great people of Canada. Elect the man who has the strength and wisdom to cut your taxes in half, increase your military power for free to the highest level in the world, and have your car, steel, aluminium, lumber, energy, and all the other businesses quadruple in size with zero tariffs or taxes. If Canada becomes the cherished 51st state of the United States of America, no more artificially drawn line from many years ago. Look how beautiful this landmass would be. Free access with no border, all positives, no negative. It was meant to be. America can no longer subsidize Canada with hundreds of billions of dollars a year that has been spending in the past. It makes no sense unless Canada is a state. So the rest of Canada is blaming the boomers for the Liberal Party of Canada retaining power. Again, it's left-wing party. And of course, Mark Carney is the globalist candidate. I mean, he is a former banker, and he has been an attendee of the World Economic Forum and has rubbed shoulders with the globalist elite for many years, including Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, Jeffrey Epstein's Madame Procureur, who is currently in prison and hasn't Epsteined herself, though we still haven't seen who her clients were. In fact, Carney was asked during the election campaign whether he had been to Epstein Island, and this sounds like Alex Rosen, but I'm not sure if it is. I think he's just speaking French there, Mark Carney. I don't speak French, but I doubt it's some satanic language. It's really, I mean, maybe in Australia, our leaders will deliver election speeches in English, Mandarin, and Hindi. In Canada, because it's bilingual because of Quebec, the leaders speak in English and then French. Or maybe they'll need to also add, well, probably not Hindi. They tend to have Sikhs, so maybe Punjabi. They'll have to speak three languages, Canadian political leaders. So English, French, and Punjabi. So certainly our census next year will show just how far down the path we are to Canadianism. And Mark Carney, he is a literal NPC in the way that he dances. Yeah, this is like such a natural dance. Look, you can tell that I'm not a AI robot. Like, they could be robots, you know. Who does that? That's a malfunction. So D-Mel says having 10 languages will make us much more productive, though. Although they've got rid of the ethnicity questions on the next census, the language and religion questions will definitely still be asked. Now, going back to Billboard Chris, who, like I said, seems to be spending most of his time these days criticizing the pro-white activists. And there has been a huge outpouring of not just support, but financial support to this Minnesota mother, Shyla Hendricks, who in a playground noticed that a 5-year-old black boy had tried to steal from her son's diaper bag, and he was filmed by not the boy's father, but another man, Sharmaik Omar, whose kids were also playing in the park. She was after she said the naughty word to this 5-year-old, she gave 0 fucks when she was being filmed and said it again.
You call him a nigger, the child?
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child the nigger word?
None of your fucking business.
It is my own business. You call him a nigger? Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
Fuck you, nigger.
Okay.
Nigger.
All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody digging into your shit.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a nigger?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna do
Are you
all
about
of
to
it.
hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, a nigger, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh.
Fuck off.
Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Now, she clearly gives 0 fucks. She has no, she doesn't buy into this white guilt at all. And this is, I think, why she's getting so much support, just 0 fucks given. And I believe that she's not actually a racist. She was simply making the point to, and directly to this young black boy. Some are saying that it doesn't look 5 years old. Apparently, he was autistic, but again, mental issues, including mental development, still no excuse for criminal behavior. Her point was basically, if you're going to behave like a black stereotype, then I'm going to call you a word that is associated with black stereotypes. Now, I see that Bruce here says that Billboard Chris, he said that he wanted people's ability to fund her taken away. So she's launched a GoFundMe because she's been doxxed, help me protect my family. And this has got $647,000 US. And this is definitely whites striking back when I say, well, financially, I should say, against the GiveSend Go fundraiser to the alleged black killer of Austin Metcalf, the white teenager, Carmelo Anthony. And so currently, Shiloh is at 647,000. It's just, which is more than Carmelo's official fund, 522,859. So this is what you'd term a white lash. Sorry, I haven't forgot to change the tabs here. This is basically a white lash that we're just sick of the fact that the blacks who commit crimes seem to be defended just because they are blacks. Well, when it comes to a black on white crime, and this has been going on since O.J. Simpson was acquitted of murdering his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman. And the fact that people are like, the two are not, they shouldn't even be compared. I mean, because Carmelo, he allegedly murdered a teenager, killed a man. He's going to be on trial for murder. She just said a bad word. Now, I don't use that word, but again, this is a reaction from whites. They are just sick, or they want to push back against white guilt, and so they're willing to support a white woman who just gave zero fucks. And I noticed that there are a lot of MAGA influencers who are supporting her, such as the Quartering. And so America, it's like it's so like talked about all the time. Like it's gotten worse since Obama was elected president, and obviously Barack Obama's estranged wife, Michelle Obama, certainly is adding to that with her new podcast with her brother, Craig Robinson. Now, of course, there's the Big Michael Obama conspiracy theories, but when Michelle Obama was interviewing Marlon Wayans, who is part of the Black Marlon Wayans comedy family, so they're responsible for the first two Scary movies and also for White Chicks, where they dressed up in whiteface as chicks. That was an outrageous there. And now Marlon Wayans, he has a transgender child, a girl who's become a boy. And it's always been the LGBTQ activists, the final conquest group that they want to basically get to accept their agenda is the blacks. I mean, and they are like, you just look at Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, passing extra laws against homosexuality and transgenderism. So this is why they need blacks like Marlon Wayne to showcase that it's okay if you're black to have a transgender child. But look at the way that Michelle Obama worded this.
I wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a black man. Would you care to share that journey of?
Well, I learned.
It sounds like Michelle Obama is referring to herself as a black man, but she's obviously referring to Marlon Wayans, and so that clip got community noted on X. It's one of those things. Can't we just have the lols at that? Now, another MAGA conservative activist that Billboard Chris criticizes. Also, Billboard Chris, he's a massive Zionist as well. He's also told us that we should learn about World War II history from Netflix. I guess we should learn about LGBTQ history from Netflix if you're saying we should get a history from Netflix. But Billboard Chris, he's also gone after Valentina Gomez, who of course had that unsuccessful run for the Secretary of State for the US state of Missouri. And now she's trying to run in Texas in the Republican primary for Congress to defeat the neocon Dan Crenshaw. And so she, of course, she goes for the shock value. Probably her most epic video was when she did that mock execution of an illegal immigrant who kills an American should get the death penalty. She decided that she would interrupt the Muslim prayer at the Texas state capital.
Islam is the religion of rape, incest, and pedophilia, where they bow down to a stupid rock and a false prophet. I will never let you feel lost for Texas. This is a Christian nation.
Get out of here. Go back in your cage,
Go
dog.
back to your Muslim nation.
Go bark somewhere else. Hey, go bark somewhere
Try
else.
something, vos. Ven, por acá a la izquierda, a la izquierda. A la izquierda, vamos por acá. We're rolling.
Now, believe it or not, the state of Texas has had this Islamic prayer at the state capitol for over a decade. And actually what Valentino Gomez did was not original, because do you remember the Monster Energy drink is satanic lady who she said that Monster Energy drink, there are all these satanic symbols in it. So her name is Christine Wicks. That's what she's most famous for. But she has been a years-long Christian activist, and she did the same thing over a decade ago at the Texas state capitol at the Muslim prayer.
I proclaim the name of the Lord Jesus Christ over the capital of Texas. I stand against Islam and the false prophet Muhammad. Islam will never dominate the United States, and by the grace of God, it will not dominate Texas.
I like that.
Now, if you haven't watched that video of Christine Wick with the Monster Energy drink satanic symbols, please watch it, because although I don't believe it, maybe some of you do. It's thoroughly entertaining. Now, let's go to some hard United States news. And now, Donald Trump just thought, when we thought that was the last of the tariffs, Donald Trump has introduced this most ridiculous tariff. Actually, that's not the right one. So he has put a tariff on non-Hollywood movies. He wants to help out woke Hollywood. The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to drive filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas of the USA being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It is in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately impose the process of instituting 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into a country that are produced by foreign lands. We want movies made in America again. Now, I haven't seen any MAGA supporter defend this tariff. Although Bruce says too many Americans watching Chinese and Indian movies. Not me. Obviously, I watch Australian movies and British movies. Now, speaking of national security, Donald Trump fired his national security advisor, Michael Waltz, one less neocon in the Trump White House, because he was allegedly colluding with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try and incite conflict, thwart the negotiations with Iran over the nuclear deal. So he will now be sent to the United Nations to be the ambassador there. Now, Stephen Miller, based a Trump hardliner on immigration, is tempted to take over as national security advisor. That would be awesome. Now, Donald Trump, some are probably going to make the claim that he's now going to sabotage another conservative in a upcoming election. That, of course, is the papal enclave to elect the new pope, because he shared on Truth Social a picture of him as the pope, which some Catholics said was blasphemous. Though J.D. Vance, who's a Catholic, didn't see it that way. And Donald Trump, for Star Wars Day, May the 4th, had him with a lightsaber. White House, happy May the 4th to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting so hard to bring Sith Lords, murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, well-known MS-13 gang members back into our galaxy. You're not the rebellion or the empire. May the 4th be with you. That would certainly trigger Mark Hamill, who's a libtard. And Donald Trump, his latest policy is to open up Alcatraz, which is literally a prison island for rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we are a serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate serial offenders who spread blood, filth, and mayhem on our streets. That is why I'm directing the Federal Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, Homeland Security, to reopen and substantially enlarge and rebuild Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminal thugs and judges afraid to do their job, and allow us to remove criminals who came into a country illegally. Reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law and order, justice. We will make America great again. Now, of course, the people will say that this is Donald Trump wanting to build his own version of the El Salvadorian mega prison, the Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo, which, of course, the El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele has crushed gang crime over there. So Donald Trump, despite the fact that he's not popular he's overseas, he's still got great approval ratings in the United States, where it matters, because he is an America First president. Now, let's go over to the UK, where Nigel Farage, the Reform UK leader, is a friend and supporter of Donald Trump. And despite the demonisation of Trump in the UK as well, Reform won bigly in the local government elections. So this was the results. So they had a gain of 677 councillors. The Conservative Party crashed, losing 676. The Labor Party lost 186. Liberal Democrats, they had a good night, as it could be that the new two major parties are Reform on the right and Liberal Democrats on the left. So they had a gain of 163. And of course, the big one, the by-election for the seat of Runcorn and Helsby, which was won by Reform over the Labor Party by 6 votes. And of course, this seat was vacated because the elected Labor member at last year's general election, Mike Amesbury, was sentenced to 10 weeks prison for assaulting one of his constituents. So the Reform candidate, Sarah Ponchen, a ex-Conservative councillor, won that for Reform. And Reform is maintaining its lead in the polls. This is despite the very public spat between Nigel Farage and another one of his MPs in the House of Commons, Rupert Lowe, member for Great Yarmouth. And also Reform got 2 elected mayors. So Andrea Jenkins, another ex-Conservative mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, and Luke Campbell, an ex-Olympian mayor, was elected mayor of Hull and East Yorkshire. Also, the Starmer Labor government, its leader of the House of Commons, Lucy Powell, has had to apologise for calling a Channel 4 documentary on the grooming gang scandal a dog whistle in an interview on BBC Radio, which absolutely disgusting. The victims have said how appalled they are. Now, speaking of BBC Radio, BBC 2 radio presenter and Channel 5 host Jeremy Vine, the biggest menace on the British roads with his bike fetish, and he was filming for years. Had a creepy camera on his helmet and on his bonds to film himself getting into confrontations with motorists. So he claimed he was promoting bike safety when he was just being an absolute cunt. Of course, he got my favourite male British YouTuber, Alex Belfield, sentenced to prison for 5 years. Thankfully, he's only had to serve 2.5, and he'll be out next month. And also, he got £110,000 from ex-footballer Joey Barton, because Joey Barton started the hashtag BikeNonce. And Joey Barton, who is not, he, of course, has said that I said this in response to what Jeremy Vine said about me, that I had a brain injury because I criticised female commentators on men's sports. So he's also being charged and sued, Joey Barton, by one of the commentators that he criticised, Aniko Aluku. It's both a lawsuit and he's been charged with using a carriage service to menace and offend as well. So Joey Barton, he doesn't back down normally. He's an ex-Premier League footballer. So he when he was a footballer, gave physical whacks, and so now he gives whacks on his 2 million followed social media account. Now, I bring you good news about Jeremy Vine. People power. I still have faith in the British people. They have so ratioed Jeremy Vine's cycling videos, how much they believe that he's a menace, how much they hope that he gets run over, that he's quit his cycling videos. He's no longer going to publish them on social media. Congratulations to all of you. It was a team effort. And Jeremy Vine, he on his Channel 5 show decided to, have a bit of a sulk about all the mean comments, which was inadvertently hilarious. So let's just bask in this clip, this excellent ratio. Just trolling. Well, obviously Jeremy Vine, if he tried to imprison all of the people who were trolling him, saying wish that he'd got run over, I mean, like probably 1/3 of the nation would have to go to prison with Alex Belfield. So people power just persevered.
So here we go. It's Jimmy the Fool. Surely this man, that's me, has to be England's biggest AR blank. It may be terrible, but I hope he falls under the wheels of 5 cars that reverse and make sure the job's done. This is just a little cycle bit. Tony Doherty. We are all God's children apart from the devil's offspring who are bicycle fetishists in the main. A perfect example would be Satan's high priest, an all-round bike fetishist Jeremy Vine. Pongo, most annoying, boring C, maybe I'll say clown, with the most boring effing phone-ins, what a clown you are. It's not the word clown. Please die. Sooner the better. I hope you get banned from the roads permanently, you bike Nazi here. You're a, look at that, you're without an apostrophe. That's worse than any of it. You really are a complete C. Your day will come. People want me to get run over. That's what's so weird. Jeremy, you are beyond hated. Please only upload another cycling video if it's you getting run down and hospitalised. This one's fair enough. Maybe spend some time with your wife instead of editing and posting, whatever it is, SH something, videos on Twitter, then spending all day trying to justify being a blank. I bet your missus is getting banged left, right and centre by a car driver. I mean, so shame he's stopping his videos as we won't get to see him squashed. You really are a colossal bell blank. You really are the lowest form of scum on this planet. I mean, and that's just there's thousands where they came. And I had to take out the rudest ones. What's happened to us, Michael?
Oh, they warm my heart. And yes, Alex Belfield and Joey Barton definitely having the last laugh. And Jeremy Vine has made me hate all cyclists. Whenever I see one on the road, I'm just like, this is probably going to be an absolute, he's more likely than not to be an absolute cunt. And remember when Tony Abbott was Prime Minister, he made cycling cool again. His polypedal, he was the action man in more ways than one. It's on, of course, firefighting, surf lifesaving. Of course, my former co-host at Trad Tasman Talk and RCR, colleague Dewey Jabor is a cyclist, and I've been tagging him in these Jeremy Vine clips. He hasn't responded. He must still have some sympathy or support with for Jeremy Vine. So yes, cycling. He's like, I'll probably never cycle again because of Jeremy Vine. Don Browning says, it would be ironic if he got collected, though. Well, I've previously said on this show that I hope that he accidentally gets collected by a lorry and de-skinned on the bitumen. Obviously, I'm not inciting anything. I just, it would be funny if that accident happened. Now, on to some mainland European news, where Germany, the German authorities seem to have taken their cue from France, where a judge, of course, banned Marine Le Pen of the National Front, banned her from seeking the French presidency in 2027 because she was found guilty of using her European parliamentary staff for political purposes. So over in Germany, where they have got literally their uniparty government of the Christian Democratic Union and the Social Democratic Party, the new uniparty coalition led by the CDU's Friedrich Merz is just about to take office. Now, the Germany Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, its domestic intelligence agency, has labelled the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, the second biggest party in the German Bundestag, number one in the polls national now. By labelling them an extremist entity, that's basically building a case to have them banned by the Constitutional Court. Now, of course, they're not a National Socialist political party. National Socialism is banned. But, of course, and this is what so-called hate speech laws lead to? They lead to them being used against more any form of dissident, no matter how not actually extreme really they are. Of course, Alternative for Deutschland, it's not even a ethno-nationalist party. I mean, the leader, Alice Werder, is a lesbian married to a Sri Lankan immigrant to Switzerland. Raphael says the Schadenfreuds on to Germany. Now, Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, posted on his X account, Germany just gave its spy agency news powers to surveil the opposition. That's not democracy, it's tyranny in disguise. What is truly extremist is not the popular AfD, which took second in the recent election, but rather the establishment deadly open borders immigration policy. And the German Foreign Office, the official account, replied, "This is democracy. The decision is the result of a thorough and independent investigation to protect our constitution and the rule of law. It is independent courts that will have the final say. We learned from our history that right-wing extremism needs to be stopped." It's democracy to try and ban a political party. And of course, the courts are not independent. They're appointed by the government. So yes, though I think if now one of the incoming CDU ministers has sort of poured cold water on that the new government would support this, because it could lead to serious civil unrest in Germany. And it's just broken now that the AfD is planning to sue the German Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution for the extremist entity. So they are certainly not going down without a fight. And so Germany, of course, was another nation in 2025 that, like Australia, lurched to the left, even though there was a strong nationalist showing. Of course, we could have more silver linings in our federal election, with one nation can still win a senator in every state, but certainly the other freedom minor parties that didn't do well, the Libertarians, Family First, People First, the Heart Party, certainly need to consider merging into a freedom party, put egos aside. There'll be no more Clive if he keeps his word. Trumpet of Patriots or United Australia Party. That would be great to see Ralph Barbet re-elected in 2028, representing Victoria in some form. Certainly, I don't agree with Monica Schmidt to try a failed strategy of changing the Liberal Party from within. But remember, things are not that bad in Australia. Yeah, I mean, they could get a whole lot worse, but that's why Albanese won, because things are still not that bad. Now, I'll be back on Reality Check Radio in New Zealand tomorrow with the Wilms report on the federal election aftermath with Paul Brennan on his breakfast program. So I was on his show last week to give a pre-election report and prediction. Now, I will be back with hopefully a Wilms front later in the week. I'm going to try post-election to have some different types of guests. So remember I did that show with Mary Rodwell, the alien lady. Now, I'm not going to have another UFO expert, but that was something different that I did. I'd like to do a bit more of that, because I think a lot of us are all electioned out. But I'll let you know if and when there's a Wilms front this Thursday evening. There'll be a fresh report from Tiger Milk with Richard Wollstonecroft published later this week. Remember, I cannot do this without your support. Of course, you can support us over at the Unshackled.net, at the Unshackled.net/membership. So you can take out a premium membership, $5 per month, $10 per month, $25 per month, platinum $50 per month or yearly, $50 per month, $100 per year, gold $250 per year, and platinum $500 per year. Or you can take out a subscription over on Substack. So the unshackled.substack.com/subscribe. I'll put the link into the live chat. So monthly $5 per month, annual $50 per year, founding member $500 per year. Or you can sign up for free because that's where I send out alerts for email alerts now for upcoming Unshackled productions like Tim's News Explosion, and also there's our Unshackled Productions archive. So the unshackled.net is still used for our articles. I pumped out a few before the election. Thank you so much for tuning in again tonight and your contributions in the chat. Thank you for all those who watched our election night live stream, those who super chatted as well. And don't be black-pilled. Australia, it's still pretty good, and this is our home. So none of us should be thinking about escape plans. This is our nation, our home. We should still fight for it. I want Australia to be great again. There, I said it, and I believe that it can be. Like I said, the weekend still ended well with the Lions winning, and also in the English Premier League, Chelsea winning, and also in the A-League, Melbourne City winning. So at least I had a good weekend with my sports team. So on that, good night, everybody, and I will see you later in the week.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.